Hello, and welcome to another edition of Speak the Truth, and I'm Carl West. I'm here with activist, author, and filmmaker, Mr. Noonie Ward. How you doing, Noonie?
I'm blessed, Carl. How are you?
I'm good, man. Should I call you Noonie Ward or Noonie G?
Either one. Everybody know me.
Everybody know you by both?
Yes.
Okay, man, I'm glad to have you here. Tell me how you been.
I've been blessed and grateful, man. I've been grinding. That's what I've been doing, grinding.
Well, I know you've been on this worldwide tour promoting a couple of things that you've been involved with, and we'll get to that in a minute. Okay. But I want you to give us a background on who you are, where you're from, and kind of what brought you to this moment in your life.
Let me start from Allgale Gardens, born and raised out there. I'm a former high-ranking member of the Gangster Disciples, and my job, like it was in the hood areas and all over the world, was to set up the Gangster Disciples all over. And then I got my life together with God, and I got I started doing books and films and different things about about my life. And I'm on the ground for activists. I'm still doing the activist part.
Right.
That's the main thing.
So let's talk about the activism part. What does that look like for you in the community?
Well, I'm known all over. I go hard. I go everywhere, whatever the cause is, I go there. But it's got to be a righteous cause, and my thing is, I've been like, a few times, me and you've done this stuff together before, so it looked good for us, the people getting, motivate them, letting them know this don't have to be like this, we can do this, we can do that, but I'm just grinding with that.
So does the street still receive you well? Because you've kind of moved away from that in terms of what you do as far as a profession, right? You got a book, you got films, you touring the country, man, talking on CNN, all these other networks about what's going on. So are you still respected in the community? Because that's very important when you do the work you do.
I would never let my ghetto pass get the vote. And plus, that's where I'm at. When I leave here, I go back to the community.
Right.
I'm connected. That's why I can,
you do the best work there.
Right, because on top of that, that's where the work is needed at, and that's where people respect me at, because that's where I'm from. I ain't gonna never leave the hood. You know what I mean, like far as not doing the work. So, right. And that's what makes me a professional out there and being an activist, because I'm in the hood.
Right. So tell me, with your background, and you say you was a former gang chief, and how did you get involved? At what age did you get involved in gang activities?
About 17, 18.
17?
18. I really was, all the time, my guys that I grew up with, they was folks. I wasn't so much folks at the time. I was playing sports, different things. But I'm hanging out with them, hanging out with me, and when one of them fight, we know how it goes. My boys fight, and I'm fighting. So they all I'm like, man, you with us, whether you want to be or not. That type of thing. But that's how it started like that. You know what I mean?
And so what introduced you to the drug trade?
The drug trade, when I started going around, like most of the black kids, that was a way out. I thought
in your
was
community,
in my community.
Allgale Gardens.
Allgale Gardens, but really in the community all over.
Right.
But I'm saying in my community, that's what it was. So what I did was, when I became high ranking and started setting the GDs all over, that was a part where I was setting up different things at the same time, getting my money.
Let me ask you a question, man. This is for real. How do you feel about your role in that activity at that time, now that you look back and see? Do you have, a lot of times people have to purge. People have to purge and kind of come to terms with their reality. And your reality is that, as you just described, you set what's today, you was responsible for kind of setting some of this stuff up in this initial stages, man. So how do you feel about that inside of yourself?
What I'm mad at, that I sold my people dope and set it up. That's what I'm mad at. Setting up the GDs there, I ain't mad at it, because the concept is what it's supposed to be.
So it really wasn't a concept, because people talk about this, if you look at the history of it, the concept of the gangs at that time wasn't really meant to be what it is today. It was really meant to be a community involvement, almost similar to what the Black Panthers was, when you tried to help and inspire the community through different initiatives. Am I correct?
And right, that's what it was set up for. The first gang that was set up was CVL, Traveler Vice Lords.
Okay.
Traveler Vice Lords. And they were set up to take care of the people, because the white folks was coming over, misusing the people, doing all type of, coming in the neighborhoods, just doing all type of stuff. So they were to fight back. They got together. It was never set up and never initially set. It was set up to get food, look out for the sisters and the moms and all that.
Was it really meant to be called a gang, though, or the gang just was taken out of context?
They took it out of context as usual. They just threw that on there.
Right.
And another word, negative word that they throw on us again. It wasn't set up for that.
Because I always think about
It was brotherhood.
I always think
sisterhood.
about the streets of New York, that movie, the Gangs of New York, right? And I think about that, and I look at the totality of how the Irish, it wasn't really a gang meant to go against each other in a fight. It was meant to go against outside forces that was trying to keep them in poverty and keep them down.
But to be honest with you, they took that from Chicago. That's what it was set up to be back then. When they set that up to be, that's what it was made to be. But as usual, and I don't want to be like, I'm this black power type thing, but they take stuff that we have a positive and turn it negative when they see us together, jail together. And that's what it was set up for.
So, in closing on this particular topic right here, what you're saying to me is that you regret selling dope to your community.
That's what I regret, right. Not being a gangster disciple, not setting up. No, I regret selling dope to my people.
Have you purged and repented
Many
on that?
times, right. And then, like I say, the Lord showed me, you already repented one time. I don't have to keep on repenting,
Exactly.
but I done it.
Exactly.
It's just I think about it, especially when I see what was going on with that. You know what I mean? How I played a role in that, a major role. Right now today, you said we're closing, but we get on that, when we start talking about the other topic, then you'll see how I played a major role in that.
Right.
And didn't know I played a major role.
Right. Okay, so now you made this transformation, right? So here we are, and that's what led you to going into activism, but then also trying to spread the gospel, if you want to call it that, to the community by publishing books and films about the street life and how you transition out of it yourself, correct?
Right. That was what you see is my testimony.
Okay.
That's my testimony, and my testimony can help others. And it have helped others. And first thing happened was I was featured in Fed magazine called Finding Every Dimension of the Street. When I was featured in that just went out the thing. We sold 250,000 copies in 2 weeks.
Right.
Sold out, period. So that's where it took off from. And then after that, they made a DVD about my life. I had Kanye, Common, narrating it. And I got everybody in there.
I see.
Well,
I remember you sent me
you remember,
this.
right.
I remember you sent me this.
Right.
I remember we was filming
Right.
this, and I couldn't make it to
Even Tom
some of the
Cruise in
sets,
there.
right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I remember, and I'm like, okay, cool. And you had everybody, like you said, these people all kind of
right.
supported you
Right.
on this.
Right.
So we're gonna go into the film. We're gonna go into a little snippet of the film that you're talking about. Okay.
Noonie Ward, big time gangbang.
Nothing. He be trying to help the community and he be trying to help the kids.
Noonie was a serious player in the drug culture.
Came from Mr. Larry Hoover. That he's the man around here. He's got the juice.
Noonie Ward kept me away from the gang.
If it had not been for Noonie Ward, we never would have been able to convene the first national gang summit.
This ain't no movie, this is real life. This is what's really happening.
I gang out here, gang chief out here, I slum dope out here, got girls pregnant out here, the whole 9 yards. I did all them type of things out here. And I just thank God for the blessing I had a chance to rectify all that situation. I want you to join from out here. This is the kind of stuff kids gotta deal with every day out there. I'm just telling people, don't knock people for that, because that was the greatest experience I ever had in my life. It made me for what it is today.
History to somebody else, but it's his story. He didn't come back out here and get in the dope game. He came out here and got political. You know what I'm saying? And ran for office. People can talk about doing things, but then you got to do it. It's something else.
Okay, now this gangster with the heart of gold, the Noonie G story. This was a much talked about DVD when it came out,
Right.
man. How many copies have you sold of this so
I
far?
sold a lot of them, man.
Lot
I don't
of
know, and it still is right now.
still selling.
Right now, because the stuff going on now,
Right,
my environment.
They didn't kind of reliving
Right,
your life,
right,
so
exactly.
it works for you
Right.
from a business standpoint, but also most importantly to get the message out, because you had the DVD and then you had the book.
It came with the book.
Right.
The book is really, DVD doing its thing, but the book is doing its thing because it gets straight to the point, and all the pictures, all the people, celebrities and their quotes and everything. And Common and Kanye did the foreword on that too. You know what I mean? So, it's just from my transformation from, like I said, that's my.
I remember they took flack when they did this because, of course, once again, mainstream media was trying to connect Common and Kanye to what they would consider someone like you. But in reality, we all know growing up that everybody, I don't care what celebrity status you get to, everybody got a hood story.
And then the whole
everybody
thing,
got hood stories.
and they had hood stories. You know
I
what
know
mean?
they do.
And then the whole,
I know they did.
They still got hood stories.
Right.
You know what I mean? But the thing is now is they try to do that because, to keep them, well, what you doing with them? Why is you with them back and forth? But I want to tell them, I want to know this. Tell me somebody, I don't care whether it's the white America, black America, who don't know somebody.
Well, let me tell you what I always say. When I hear them dispute my man Jay-Z, right, about the fact that he came from where he came from today. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, it's mostly black folks who really make this comment about, oh, well, how can he be a drug dealer? He used to be a former drug dealer, all this. And I said, listen, y'all people got to understand the culture of America, right? America was built off drugs, illegal activities. Corporations that you probably work for today was involved in the slave trade and drug trade and prostitution. Will you stop working at those companies if you went and did the research and found out? I doubt it. But in reality, white America respect a Jay-Z because they understand where they came from.
Business.
They understand that America is about not where you come from, it's about where you at. And so if you're able to do that, there's something really inside of you that's inspiring and people need to emulate. Because if you're able to take yourself from that kind of environment that he came from and others people and put yourself where you're on the cover of Bloomberg News and Forbes, that's to be emulated in this conceptual form, right? So look, you was also featured in Bloomberg Market. We want to go on that, right? And I remember when you called me and told me, like, Carl, you got to get the edition, man. They got me in here and it talked about what?
It talked about, first people got to know, Bloomberg Magazine is not the magazine that your normal magazine.
Right.
Everybody in this magazine are millionaires or billionaires in this magazine.
Right. It's equivalent to a Forbes.
Right.
Matter of fact, how they rate
that's their competitive.
Sure.
And what they was doing was they get a special edition of it. And they wanted to wait to bring it out. I suppose it came out in July, but they wanted to go out to the 50th most influential people.
And tell us what they covered in this.
They
with
covered
you.
with me what I was saying at first, the Mexican trade as far as coming in for drugs, right, and how it is, and what they saying, and which is true, they saying
because they covered about a 10-page spread on this,
and
when you sent me everything.
This is reason why the violence and everything is in Chicago is, but the mayor don't want to say no, but when this came out, the feds made a statement. They don't even make statements like this. Said everything in that magazine is true. And
tell us what they talked about, how Chicago being this middle ground of America and being a hub for heroin distribution all around the world.
They saying, and this right here is where from Chicago to Mexico, they making $3.5 billion off just that little area. And the gangs are fighting over it and money and different things. So that's what they saying. And but this the point that gets me though. The routine he took, the route he took, this is how I got in it.
And that was
the route that I set up.
The route that this Mexican drug lord took.
Right.
He's the number 1 drug distributor in America.
He's the public enemy number 1,
right.
according to.
And what's his name?
Guzman. I know it's Guzman's his last name.
Right.
But he's public enemy number 1. Mm-hmm. They can't catch him, They
can catch him, but they ain't trying to catch him. Exactly.
They don't want to catch him.
If he bringing in $3.5 billion alone in just the Chicago to Mexico trail, they don't want to stop that.
Now watch this now. This is a financial magazine. He making $3 billion just from Chicago alone. I ain't talking nowhere else. You think he in this mess? You think it's special that he in there just because that he in there because that money he bringing in? That's why I say we're different from black folks and white folks are different. Totally different. White folks about money. I'm gonna give you another example. What I'm talking about. This book right here, the largest book cover is Wiley's. They were like, oh man, we got your book. We don't really care about about that. That ain't nothing, man. But you want to do a book? You want us to do a book? Do a book about how you made your money. This is what he told me. The guy that run the whole thing, and that's the largest distributor company. He said, white folks want to know how you made your money. We don't care about how you did. I said, what? And I made that. I just finished it yesterday. The book is called Gangsternomics. The gangsterism and the nomics, the corporate world. When you say corporate, that's why I started shaking my head laughing, because all of it's tied in, Carl. All of us. And when you say about this part right here, about them, the $3 billion, if they want to stop it, they can stop it instantly.
But they don't want to.
Everybody
when
get
you
their hands
generate
in it.
$3 billion. And
That's just from Chicago,
and see,
though.
that's what always gets me, because when I hear elected officials sometimes in police department and our CEOs of the state and the city, and they talk about trying to stop, arresting little kids off the corner, right? And I always say to myself, well, when they do these little drug busts, right, and they publicize it all on the TV, and I'm like, don't impress me with that. Impress me when you go downtown, and I want to see y'all walk out with white corporate thugs who, with their hands behind their back, because they've been the ones, you with the trucks funneling up and down the major thoroughways and fairways in these major cities. Right. When you show me that picture on the news at night, and then you impress me.
Right.
You ain't impress me when you do a little drug bust on the corner of Emerald and 55th and talking about y'all just disturbed a $5 million operation, right? But yet you allow the $3 billion operation to continue. And this book talked about what? And tell me this, because you told me this thoroughly. You was very excited about this when you called me, about that's probably in the book highlighted, right? And people can see that. How there's about 4 or 5, Chicago is a distribution. There's about 4 or 5 warehouses with nothing but heroin stacked in there, just being distributed out of Chicago.
And the sad
and you
part
mean tell me that nobody know where these warehouses at?
They know where it's at. Let me tell you something. What you did was this. When you said you can bust Johnny and Bob and Bill and them on the street, but you can't bust them, $3 billion, because that means everybody got their hands in the call. Remember this now. And this what happened. When this book came on there, Ron Emanuel and them told them, take it off the shelf. They told everybody in Chicago wants to interview me, right? Interview stopped completely. Man, we can't touch it. You know why? Because their hands is in it. Remember this now. Our mayor is a banker. His background is banking. So where you think, it's just a hypothetical question. Where you think that money going? He can't get it back and forth. It's got to go somewhere.
Right. It's called money laundering.
Right, and that's what I put. Man,
it's called money laundering. Man. They have to find ways to clean it up, and these major banking institutions some of them are probably playing a role. That's probably specific banks in general. Once again, who've been around in this business for hundreds of years, involved in illegal activities, but yet they want to lock up the little brothers and sisters off the corner. And then they want to prohibit us from being able to create economic development in our communities,
but
right?
You know why they want to do that? It's a deceiving move. Like we'll let you bust $5 million, but we let $3 billion come over here. Well,
I understand it, but we want to let everybody watch it, and the readers understand the bigger picture. And we only hope that not that anybody can make any major changes, but that people just always believe that information is the key to life, right? And if you have information about what's going on around in your communities, it gives you a better picture to be able to make better sound decisions when things come up. You be like, no, wait a minute, because I don't want to accept this little stuff that y'all telling me, because I think there's always more to it. And so let me just go to the one last subject, and then go ahead. Noonie.
But what I'm going to say is this. Have you noticed this, though, Carl? And I'm going to get up off this. But all that is only in the black neighborhood.
It's only publicly in the black neighborhood. Listen to me. Publicly, it's somewhere else.
What I mean by that, the violence, the killing,
right?
All that type of stuff, the drugs and back and forth. That's in the black neighborhood. Rogers Park ain't finna let you set up shop there.
But let me dispute you on that a little bit, Noonie. And I say this because I traveled around and I do my research. There's violence and crimes in all other neighborhoods. They just the media mainstream just don't take a camera there and show it. I'm gonna give you a prime example when we close this out. My job, wanting to know these facts, I went around, all these communities got what they call community newspapers. The Polish, Irish, all these different foreign communities got community newspapers, right? Chinatown, Latino communities, commercial. You go get their community newspapers and you read what's in there. Sex, violence, distribution, home invasion, robbery, murders, abuse. But those things stay right in those little small newspapers. They don't pull them and make it national news like they would do in our community, right? Because they don't want to show America that picture. They want to show America the picture of black people being dysfunctional and violent to create a scare environment that we, especially black men, are people that should be feared, not because of our wonderful intellect and our prowess to be able to go out here and be hustlers and survivors, but to be afraid of to try to stunt our growth in how we progress. So if I'm looking at you as a violent dude, regardless how intellectual you are, no matter what you do, I'm looking at you as somebody I want to have in my community because of your violent, projected nature. And I think it's all about being projected that way, because I don't think we as what they show us that we are. There's always going to be instances where people are violent and dysfunctional. But once again, I look at these newspapers, community newspapers, same thing that go on in our community goes on there, but they do not highlight that. We have become, black people, the black community for some reason has become the whipping child and the mainstream media's projected image to the world. And so I'm glad that we got this to be able to speak that.
Carl, but that's how they pull off 46, 7 schools closed down in the black neighborhood. That's how they pull off.
That's how they justify it.
That's right. That's how
that's
they
what I'm
pull
talking about. That's what I mean. They give us this image to justify that so they can do stuff like that and stunt the growth of black America and young, intelligent, wonderful black boys and girls that are all around this country sitting there looking to be innovative and looking to create and discover a brand new world for themselves to create economic development, bring themselves out of that. So, Noonie, I want to thank you, brother, for coming through, and we'll do this again. I want to talk about the violence, but we kind of already covered that in a way, but I don't want to make that a forefront of our discussion. So, until the next time, come back and join us at Speak the Truth, and I'm Carl West. Peace and one love. All right.
Come on, brother.